This is He Knows Everything, bringing you the heat and far. We keeping the foot on the what? The nicks. We keeping the foot on the what? The nicks. And like the Tibetan master that I am, I'm applying what? Unlimited pressure. Because pressure does what? It bursts pipes. He Knows Everything has a unique ability. He's basically like Jay-Z, one take. All I gotta do is, I don't even need to watch the video or anything. All I gotta do is look at the fucking title and I already know the subject matter, this conversation that's being talked about. And I'm always 1000% correct. Because again, like Jay-Z, I'm one fucking take. We're gonna do a two-topic video in one fucking video. I haven't done this in a while. First up, Kendrick fucking Perkins, Uncle Ruckus, Bootlicker, or the La Bootlicker, the La Bought and La Paid For guy, the Steven from fucking Django, dum 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 dum, dum dum, Django, dum 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 dum, dum dum, dum dum, dum, Django, dum dum, dum dum, dum, Django. This motherfucker's from Django, dog. He's Steven from Django. You saw what Steven did to Django. Outed him. Because this is what a Kendrick Perkins does. See, you guys have to understand the high level la dupery that's happening. You gotta understand the la slickness that happens. This is what a mama's boy pure fucking beta supreme does with LeBron James. This is why He Knows Everything had to out him as a secret loving Lebrontard, as a closet bronsexual. Sometimes, and I'm going to tell you what LBJ Riders Media do. You guys don't understand this because you're so neuro-linguistic programmed. You're so basically 27th law of power, Lecote-like following, that you guys don't understand that sometimes LBJ Riders Media, so they don't look like they're too LeBron-filled, they get on LeBron. But when they do it, they don't do it in a way to where it's authentic and consistent. They don't do it in a way to where you could say, oh shit, they actually ether than Merc LeBron James. They do it in a way to where it's like passive aggressive. When Kendrick Perkins tell you, oh, you know, LeBron James, man, I gotta get on him because he's saying he will never be 100%. You gotta look at the opposite. A lot of LBJ Riders Media, they operate in a lot of ways women operate in. They do that hyperbole shit. They're very hyper gamers. That's why they're highly successful at what the fuck they do. LBJ Riders Media, like women, have a nature. It's called LBJ Riders Media fucking nature. Their nature is to dupe you or la dupe you. Basically use neurolinguistic programming just like women use the power of the P to basically what we do, brain full of mush and brainwash you into fucking la dodo fucking la heads. When they tell you LeBron James will never be 100%, they're not basically being negative about LeBron. They're not criticizing or criticizing LeBron. They're basically mad that LeBron James will say some shit like that. Because everything with them, when they talk LeBron, you gotta understand, they're always talking LeBron in a very dominant fashion. Even though it's fabricated. Even though it's in only their fucking heads. They always want to see LeBron James in a dominant sense. They always want to see LeBron James as a dominant figure. They always want to see LeBron James as dominant in the sense that they could talk about him in a very fabricated version or a love fabricated version of being higher than a Michael Jeffrey Jordan, higher than a Kobe Bean Bryant. When we know that's la bullshit and that's la fuck shit. But this is what a Kendrick Perkins does. So don't get the shit twisted. So when he's getting on LeBron James, it's a quota. You know how cops have to stop you once a month to meet a fucking quota because they get complained by their superiors? Well, it's the same thing. LBJ Riders Media have to do a quota to where they psych your brain out because they showcase to you that they're too much of a LBJ Riders Media love fest. They started doing this shit when Kevin Durant outed them. And Kevin Durant said, it ain't even about basketball no more. It's about gargling the freaking LeBons. Prior to Kevin Durant, there wasn't no quota. They were just doing this unlimited. But Kevin Durant forced them to at least do a fucking quota. At least that's what he was able to force them to do. They ain't changed their ways. They haven't erred away from things concerning basically their version of what we would say la rubbish. But in most cold-hearted, unadulterated, and cutthroat true fashion, They have to do a quota now to where they have to basically give the illusion, give the impression that they're purging off of LeBron James, but in actuality they're not. This is how the mama's boy pure fucking beta supreme get you guys, man. This is how he deludes you guys' corpus callosum, deludes your cerebellum, delude your medulla oblongata, basically through his version of neurolinguistic programming, through his version of the 27th law of power, of basically making you brain full of mush and brainwash la dodo la fucking la heads. Now we're going to talk about the overall spectrum of a bigger picture conversation here. When we sit here and we look at all of the nuances that's associated with Kendrick Perkins talking about Zion Williamson and saying that the NBA soft, yada, yada, yada. Listen, man. Every time Kendrick Perkins was hurt, this motherfucker sat down. Go do the research on him. Do you know there's NBA finals that Kendrick Perkins was non-existent? For a guy who sits here and runs his rabbit-ass mouth about, oh, you know, man, I'm hardcore, man. I'm all about, you know, the big fight. I'm all about, you know what I'm saying, the NBA is not soft. The NBA is soft now. Where's your evidence? Every time Kendrick Perkins was hurt, even if it wasn't significant, his ass was sitting the fuck down. So can we say you were soft? Stop the presses and pump the brakes on the nonsense. Go sit down somewhere and what? Higgity fucking hush. You see what I talked about? You see the roller coaster effect? This is why you guys can see the slickery and the dupery on them supposedly meeting their quota. But they getting on Zion Williamson, right? Is Zion Williamson LeBron James? Think about that for a second. Notice when it's a player that's not LeBron James, they do not hold no fucking punches. They go after that person. And they always try to denigrate that person because they feel in them denigrating the person, they're showcasing something about that person that they feel makes sense. Also that the end game is prop up Lefraud fucking James. Do you see them saying LeBron James basically doing an infinite or basically indefinite Leload Lamanagement? Do you hear them using jargon saying that shit is soft? It's soft as cottonelle tissue paper, because it is. A guy who is acting like he's injured, but he's not. Michael Jordan didn't cheat the game of basketball. Kobe Bryant didn't cheat the game of basketball. This is why these guys are the last of the Mohicans. Kevin Durant would not cheat the game of basketball, but it's that fucking Achilles, man. If Kevin Durant didn't have that shit, I don't care what anybody tell me. That man would be on the basketball court consistently playing lights the fuck out. Not only basically having to be careful on when he can play, when he can't play, yada, 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 etc., etc. No, Kevin Durant would be fucking playing. But with LeBron James, man, the rules don't apply with this guy. There's always a catch fucking 22 with this guy, man. Basically, you can have your cake and you want to eat it too with LeBron James. LeBron can get away with Lefraud James behavior. He can get away with Lefraud James behavior. But everybody else got to toe the fucking line. Isn't that a things that make you say, Isn't that a things that make you say, Because if you guys are being honest with yourselves and you're being real NBA fans, you're not being Rudy Poo and Plum Plum Brains. You're not being classic Dalton Troglodytes. You're not being ultra fanboys with the ultra fanboy rhetoric. You're not being LBJ stans, LBJ apologists. But you're actually having the true basketball eye test, and you're actually able to see things for what they are. You guys would call a spade a spade. You would keep it real. You would keep it a buck. You would keep it 1,000. You would keep it 100. But you can't do that because in its most cold-hearted, in its most unadulterated, and in its most cutthroat truth-telling fashion, it's not as simple as this for you guys. What is simple for you guys is LeBron James and LeBron James all day, every day. You got guys over 50 plus years old in the Asante L's of the world telling you, Lefraud James, man, LeGoat James, LeGoat James. It's not LeGoat James, it's Lefraud James. The fact that you're 50 plus and you're trying to tell he knows everything, that he could learn a thing or two, just because of the fact that you're a LeBron James fan, it already makes you a brain full of mush and a brainwashed dodo head. The fact that you're a LeBron James fan shows me that you are inferior to he knows everything mentally. Because anyone that's using the true basketball eye test, anyone that has basically a brain, even if it's the size of a grain of a mustard seed of a brain, not a peon fucking brain, they would know that LeBron James is the biggest LaBust the NBA's ever seen. They would know that he's a guff of folk, greatest finals failure of all time. They would know that LeBron James is a 4 out of 10 abysmal NBA finals averager and performer. That this motherfucker only averages 40%, because when it's all said and done, LeBron James has always been what LeBron James has always been, a Lefraud James. That's the cold-hearted. That's the unadulterated. That's the cutthroat telefashion. Recap. You guys see that when it comes to these LBJ Riders media, they are slick. They know how to dupe you into making you think that they're going after LeBron James, when in actuality, they are not. Well, let's contextualize it, not. And when it comes to criticizing other players like a Zion Williamson, it's a things that make you say, It's a things that make you say, because when it's all said and done in its most cold-hearted, unadulterated, and cutthroat true telefashion, they don't hold no fucking punches for guys like this. That's the cold-hearted. That's the unadulterated. That's the cutthroat true telefashion. Again, I keeps the foot on the whoop. Niggas. I keeps the foot on the whoop. Niggas. This is He Knows Everything. Check it out.